Hey, buddy.
Excuse me. Wow, not really sure
You're,
what
are you so taken
uh you
away
know,
by my good looks?
I am. I miss you, dude. We haven't seen each other for man, it's been uh well, I saw you before you went to Texas, right? When I came back from
Uh,
Italy.
Maybe
So we went creeking. Yeah,
we
we
went
went creeking.
creaking.
I saw
You're
you.
right.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah.
But I still miss
I
you.
was
Still miss you.
I do miss you, man. We haven't hung out. We haven't this summer routine is a very interesting routine. I thank God. I truly thank God for where we are in life that meaning out of the Navy, nothing bad with the Navy, but when I was in the Navy, summer, fall, spring and winter and all the holidays, I mean, or all holidays, all the seasons, like it didn't really matter
Yeah.
like what my desired calendar looked like, especially as we got more senior rank and COs and whatnot. um but now I have to like contend with my schedule, right? Like, and my kids' schedules during the day, like,
Yeah.
which is completely foreign to me. I say foreign. We did this last summer, failed at it miserably. This summer we did a little better, but still did not do well because my wife also is an entrepreneur, and so it's just an interesting time, dude. It's trying to figure out. So we're already looking at next summer, like, okay, how do we take some of this stress off our marriage and like give each other opportunity to you know work, but it's not because both of us work is also a reflection of our passions, right? So the coaching, the mastermind for me, all the things we're doing, the retreats, all the things you and I are doing are very I'm very passionate about as well. And for her, coaching women and doing all, the things that she's doing, her health training, and she's a coach now for at a gym. uh Man, that she's very passionate about that. So like it's not just a work schedule. It's like a very personal, passion driven thing. And that's not what we're here to talk about today completely. But I do just want to acknowledge that it's interesting. And there's also you and I seeing each other, spending time together,
Yeah.
which is exactly what we're going to talk about as friends, as best friends, as brothers. That is significantly impacted with this type of summer routine.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, so summer routines, you and I had um committed to taking the family on some adventures, doing some trips, spending some time, some quality time with our families, with our kids, putting the work to side, putting the phone down, putting the computer away, and really being present and focused. And so I went on a trip. You went on a trip to Italy for 3 weeks. I took my family to Texas to see some family, and then from Texas we went to Cancun, Mexico, and spent a week there. And I completely did a digital detox for 7 days, which I'd like to do another talk on that. But like during the period of time in Mexico, there's a pool at the hotel, and our kids would just immediately make friends with other kids at the pool. And it was within like less than an hour, like minutes of like hanging out at the pool. Like the kids would kind of flock to each other of similar age. They would all come together and start playing, and they would play games, and they would swim together, and share goggles and share flippers and like just all this stuff, right? And then they'd go down to the beach and make
Share
sandcastles,
COVID.
share COVID. Yeah, yeah. We got COVID on the way back, so that was fun. But I witnessed a transaction between my son and this other little girl, and it really made me reflect on friendship. And we were sitting at the beach, we were building sandcastles, and the little girl that was kind of playing with us, she was sitting next to my son Wells, and just kind of out of the blue, like within like 30 minutes of us hanging out with this little girl, like she said to Wells directly, "Do you want to be friends?" And Wells kind of like looked at her, and he was like, "Yeah, sure." And it was almost like a high five. All right, now we're friends. Let's get back to playing, right? And then they played like the rest of the day. Like they hung out, they swam at the pool. Like they would go to the pool, they'd go to the beach, like they'd play and uh it was just an interesting transaction of like the girl being so open and vulnerable and just out there like, "Hey, do you want to be my friend?" And I thought to myself, would we do that? Like, would an adult first transaction time meeting another adult, another man, just be so open and vulnerable and be like, hey, man, do you want to be my friend? Do you want to hang out? And I would bet you that most would say no, that they would not do that like right away, right? So it was just an interesting like reflection of like how and why a child can be so open and just be so vulnerable and like just throw it out there. Hey man, do you want to be my friend? To where we're at now as adults, like don't see that happening very often. I don't know. Curious what you think about it.
Yeah, man. I think, well, and I think we as adults have so many years of rejection and fear built up that we are reticent to do things like that, to put ourselves out there. But I'll tell you, and it's funny because I'm thinking of like how this applies to an adult, right? And I do not think that I am any kind of uh good example, but I'll tell you I'm very intentional with this kind of stuff. And this is how I do it. This is what I do because I'm very intentional with the do you want to be my friend type thing. And there's two things that pop to mind immediately. One is UFC. I'm a big UFC fan. I love watching fights, and I've not found a lot of dudes that fight. And even my wife is in on this now. She does it. And if it comes up in conversation, like a fight's coming up, and we're at the pool, this just happened recently. We're at the pool, a big fight was coming up. And I started talking to a guy, and I'm like, hey, do you like UFC? And Eric happened over here, and because she's seen this play out a bunch of times, and he's like, dude, I love UFC. And Erica, she actually came in and interrupted. She's like, oh my gosh, you guys should go on a play date. And because she's always like, I'm always trying to find, I'm trying to find dudes. And she's like, I'm always looking for friends for my husband to go do this specific activity because I enjoy it. It's so expensive. It's like repressive now. So you have to go somewhere to do it, or you got to get a bunch of dudes together to buy it. Right. Or you
Yeah.
don't have to. I just don't particularly want to spend, $150 with the ESPN Plus year-long thing and the fight. And it's like just me by myself. Like I just don't,
Yeah.
it's not as fun. But that's an area, finding a commonality and being very, very open and intentional with it. And that's been pretty cool because, I met some really good friends through, I've been doing that actually for a long time, probably like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I met a really good friend by doing that. The other thing out here in Colorado, so obviously anybody who's listening to the show knows I'm addicted to fly fishing. Well, you can get fly fishing roof rack things like for your so you don't have to break down your fly rod.
Right.
And so I look for cars, when I'm doing like coaching, I'm coaching football right now. Well, one of the coaches happened to drive up in his truck and he had those, and I'm like, dude, are we friends? Like, let's go fly fishing together, because obviously you have that on there, so you fish. And the guy that there's a couple different guys, the guy that we're doing business with also fly fishes. So that was like a connection point that is just an injection, to start conversation, right? And if you have that, it's a lot easier because a lot of dudes, to your point, they're just not comfortable. We've lost the ability to be like, hey, do you want to be my friend? But what I will tell you is if there's something you have commonality, and just imagine how you'd feel if, there's a dude that whatever in the gym or mountain bikes, and he came up to you and was like, hey, dude, I noticed that you bike. Like, hey, dude, let's go grab a coffee and let's go get a bike ride. Like, how would that make you feel? Like, it would make you feel good, right? Like, you'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, this guy wants to hang out. That's kind of cool. Like, and it may turn into something, it may turn into nothing, but at least maybe you get a bike ride out of it and meet a cool guy.
It's
And
funny.
so I,
It's funny you say that specific scenario. At the end of the school year last year, I actually went for a bike ride in the morning, and I had my mountain bike in the back of my truck, and I was in car line to pick up my son. I got there a little bit early, and one of the moms was coming out of the school. I think she had like dropped something off her kid or something. And she came up to me. She like made me roll down my window. She's like, "Hey, do you go mountain biking?" I was like, "Yeah, I love it." She's like, "Oh, my husband loves to go mountain biking. You guys should go hang out and go mountain biking together. Like he needs
dude,
another guy to go mountain biking with because he doesn't have any friends to go mountain biking with." And I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to go mountain biking with. I'll hit him up." And like so, like the wife was trying to like have me reach out to her husband to go like be a friend. And you're right, dude. Like if another man was like, "Hey, man, you want to go mountain biking?" Yeah, I'd love to go. I'd love to go do that. But it doesn't happen very often. Like,
Well, and you make, and I'm gonna turn a little bit more serious, but you make a great point. Like we have literally relegated our manhood oftentimes. And when I say manhood, there's so much. I'm reading this fascinating article, and it is the whole article. It's written by a woman, and the article is basically one of the premises of it is that men are just there's a struggle to define manhood in a culture that usually the word manhood or masculinity has the word toxic in it, right? Nowadays. And what's interesting, it's like we always talk about success. Hey, what does success mean to you? Okay, cool. What does masculinity mean to you? Like it's not a dirty word, and it doesn't have to be, but most men, most people in our culture today, they don't even know what manhood should be. And I do not think manhood is like, it's like success, right? It's for you. It's for you to determine for yourself, like what it is that makes you, for me, like manhood involves protecting my family and my kids. But it's also providing, right? We talk a lot about providing. I want to be there to provide emotionally. I want to be there to provide materially. I want to be there to provide an example. I want to be there to provide my ears. Like, what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of different things behind this idea of masculinity. And the problem is our wives recognize it, and women recognize it often, that we are not fulfilling our role. And again, I'm not defining the role. I'm not saying men go to work and they make more money than women and they are aggressive and they are competitive and they are like, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I feel very secure in my skin. And for me, masculinity looks a certain way in my house and how I provide. It also is a very supportive person to my wife to build her businesses and to be there in her corner, right? Like that to me is manhood. Crying, that to me is manhood. Being able to express emotion, being able to tell another dude that I love that guy, that is manhood to me, right? So like there's no box that I am creating, but it also looks like fly fishing, mountain biking, playing with sharp objects, lots of knives, it's shooting guns. Like to me, that's what those things are as well. Not that a woman can't do that, but for me, these are all part of who I am. And our women, our wives, and the women in our lives are seeing unhappy dudes that they love, and they're trying to get us to make friends, to do things that they know we enjoy, because we've given up. We are not assertive in putting ourselves out there to create deep, lasting, meaningful friendships. What if that dude you go on a bike ride with is like exactly who you need to meet, or you are exactly who he needs to have an outlet to talk to? Our wives are tired of being the only people we talk to,
yep,
right?
100%, man.
They're sick of it. And we should not put that responsibility on them to be our best friend, our confidant, our camping buddy, our bike for, like they don't want that.
Yeah.
And because
They can't be that.
they can't be that. And I don't want that to be like, my wife's like, hey, I'm going out with the girls tonight from the gym. We're going to go to grab a beer. I'm like, awesome. Go do that. I'm like, why are there paddle boards in the back of our car? Those aren't ours. Oh, me and the girls are going to go to the thing, and awesome. Like, go do that.
Yeah.
They should do that. Well, we should too. Right. Like I don't invite my wife to go fly fishing with me unless like we want to go on a fly fishing date, which she has no interest.
Yeah.
But like, that's my thing. And I should embrace that and do that. And what that looks like. Right. And so I just think I think there's also, we need to pay attention when other women are coming to us and being like, hey, will you play with my husband?
Yeah.
Like we as husbands or men should be like, man, why does my wife feel the need to do that? What am I doing? Let me look internally to figure out, oh yeah, I have no friends. Why do I have no friends? Well, if you're honest, I have no friends because, well, I'm afraid of rejection. Like, cool. That's a great place to be, is to be honest. Not, oh, I just like sitting by myself in my basement because like that's awesome. No, dude, that's lame.
Yeah.
That's lame.
I just like staring
And
at
we're
my
not
computer working all day long and all night long.
well, we're not built for that, right? I don't care
Right.
if you're an introvert. I love it. John Mark Comer, we listen to him all the time. He is a self-professed huge introvert, and he says he's like, I'm an introvert, and I know that God created me to be in community. I just have to frame it the way that is fulfilling and appropriate. And he loves being in community, right? Someone like me, like I need less alone time, but
No, you
but
need more alone time, less time with people.
I'm sorry, I need more alone. Like for me, there is an element of I do need that alone time with God, right?
Yeah.
So you have to take your personality and recognize the truths of community, the power of solitude, and all these things, and strike a balance. If your wife is trying to get you play dates as a grown man, that should be a huge indicator that there's a problem.
Yeah. 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 It reminds me of we had a conversation with Ben Kaloy, the dad coach, on one of our podcasts, and he said the number of hellos you say equates to the number of opportunities that may come across your plate. And I think it's true, man. Maybe it's not like saying to another dad that you meet for the first time, "Will you be my friend?" But maybe it's a hello. Maybe it's, "Oh, hey, I saw you fly fish. I like fly fishing too. Oh, do you like UFC? Hey, I like UFC too. We should go watch a fight together sometime." Maybe it's just that initial like reach out to find some type of commonality. And maybe it's an awkward conversation and maybe there's no commonalities and you guys go about your way. But if you never try, right? Like you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Like, so take a shot, like say hello, reach out to a dude that's across at the park, you know, introduce yourself to the dudes that's standing right next to you at jiu-jitsu while you're watching your kids. Like just say hi, right? And start a conversation. You never know where it goes. Like, for me, like I've had a few conversations with guys that could be my new best friend. We're in works right now. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're going to be in works quite a while, and I feel like those dudes, whoever they are going to end up highly disappointed in whatever the works that you are. But I wish you the best of luck. You know what I
Thanks,
mean? I
man.
wish you the best of luck to find whoever that man in your life is, and you can you know because I didn't want to break it to you, but like dude, I have mandates all the
Are you
time,
cheating on
and
me?
I've got lots of dudes trying to be my best friend, and I mean, it's just kind of
Mm. All right.
awkward, but this conversation's awkward to do it on the podcast.
Well, I'm
My
gonna start
apologies.
saying hello to more men. Start asking them to go on mandates.
Yeah,
All of our listeners, you should too. Ask some dude if he wants to be your friend.
yeah, do it. There's no excuse. Hey, life's too short, man. Like I tell you, and this is not for Stu. And I like, if you what you do with your life and the friends you have and how you spend your time is, if I'm just being completely honest, is pretty inconsequential to me and Stu, right? I mean, what's consequential is the things you, Stu, do. I'm invested in you as my best friend, and there are dudes that I'm invested in, and that is that would have an impact. But in general, like this is for you, right? Like this is for the listeners to embrace for themselves, to go out and do, like, to have a more fulfilling life for themselves. And if you're a dad, just take a, I mean, just look at your life and be like, hey, is this the life I want for my kids, in whatever facet that is, right? We always have room to improve, so the answer should be no. I want to improve here. But if you want your kids, just imagine them not having any friends. Like, we get so used to it as, I think, adult men, like, yeah, just there's nobody hang out with, no friends, whatever. You just get used to it, and that's not something that we should be proud of. That's not something we should get used to, and just project it project it out to somebody else, and just consider, is that the life I want them to live? And if it's not, well, then why are you setting that example, right? Why are you setting the example of being on your computer all day and whatever it is you're doing to avoid being friends with other dudes? 20-second hugs.
My second hugs.
That's where you need to get comfortable with 20-second hugs.
Do it. You'll
Giddy up.
receive lots of 20-second hugs if you want to come to Empire, Colorado and join us for the next men's retreat, Kinetic Men Retreat, 27 to 29 September Empire, Colorado. Lots of man hugs, lots of hanging out, lots of hiking, lots of fishing, sitting around a campfire. It's good. It's real good. You should come join us.
It's good. It's real good. Giddy up. Good chat.
Bye
Love
now.
you.
Love you.
See ya.
See you.